starting. Let's go. Let's go. There is no adjustable difficulty option, so everybody's running on the same track, so to speak. What is my favorite aspect in general? I think honestly the best part of the entire game is just how building your character affects the combat. The combat changes completely based on how you build your character. How did I get early access enough to beat it multiple times? I was invited by IGN to help the guides team. So I am doing the walkthrough for IGN, which I believe the first part of that is coming out tomorrow, I think. But yeah, you're about to see firsthand. So we're doing things a little different this time, right? So like normally I like to do first playthroughs on stream, but obviously since this is a scenario where IGN you know, being on the guides team as a freelancer now, occasionally I do get early access to games. I'm not really allowed to tell you guys that I have early access to games until the review embargo is up, so I kind of spilled the beans on that a little bit a couple days ago on Discord, but it's going to be a little different because, like I said, I've already beaten the game. But we're going to kind of reframe it as, instead of it's like, oh, this is my first playthrough, come check it out. It's like, hey, I've already beaten the game. If you guys have questions, this is a safe space to ask away. So this game is awesome to people. This game is Eagle. This is a very, very cool game. Is it true that this has adaptive difficulty? I have not noticed anything related to adaptive difficulty. It's a very chill game for the most part, but there are some very, very tough bosses. Am I on PC or PS5? I am on PC.
Safe. The scriptures sound. All I ever wanted was a.
How does it compare to a game like Elden Ring? So this is not a Souls game or a Souls-like game. You don't lose experience when you die. You don't use the same experience you level up with to buy stuff. This is absolutely a traditional ARPG that is heavily inspired by Souls-like combat.
To obey and serve once more.
So with that in mind,
I understand that too.
you basically have to like get good at the combat. That is the only way to overcome the challenges of this game. Like, you can kind of over level, but it is very much a situation where like the game is all about the combat. It's more like a Chinese God of War. Yeah, that's a very, very good example. Cinematically, it's gonna look like you're watching a new God of War game. It is very, very heavily inspired by God of War cinematography. But the combat is definitely, I would say, a little closer to Souls-like combat. There are some frustrating elements of the combat that we'll talk about. Personally, my least favorite part of the combat is that sometimes if you get interrupted mid-spellcast, it'll still put your spellcast on cooldown. While it won't take away your mana, it will take away your ability to cast it again right away. It's a little frustrating. You'll also lose focus points, which are kind of like, they're like combo points as you start to string together different moves. Which you'll see all of that here in just a second, because this is like, what we're seeing right now is like the intro, prologue / tutorial boss, and then we'll get into like the actual game shortly thereafter. So
if you lose,
there is New Game Plus, by the way, very exciting. Day one New Game Plus. So for those of you looking for replay value, it's definitely there, and they also do the New Game Plus does scale up, so you won't just be shitting on everything in your second playthrough. PC performance isn't bad. There's a couple spots in the late game that are a bit rough, but for the most part, you'll get over 60 FPS.
How tragic would that
I'm on a
be?
3080 Ti, and I think I'm getting about 70 to 90 FPS most of the time. Do I see it having a DLC? I don't know. The game ended kind of abruptly for me. And I think it's because it was like preview build stuff, which is pretty common. I'm assuming that stuff on like today is going to be like will have been updated, but you could definitely tell that like they kind of segued into like thank you for trying the preview build. I don't know if it's going to be like Elden Ring where like the bosses literally were like different mechanically afterwards, but yeah, it was
and allow you to keep the other two.
But there's definitely some things that like when I was playing through it in early access for like the reviewer copy that I'm assuming are going to be patched as part of the full release. Do I see it having DLC though? I don't know. I think that it's for the most part a pretty complete experience. All right, we're getting into the first combat. So this, like I said, is the tutorial boss. So it's kind of showing you how to like lock onto targets. It's showing you the different types of attacks that you can do. So what I'm doing right now is a light attack. You also have the ability to perfect dodge, which is kind of where you can see my character's like a ghost. That's what happens after a perfect dodge. So that first spell that I did there was called Immobilize. You can freeze an enemy in place. I believe there's an exact same spell like that in God of War. When you do that, depending on how you build your character, you do accrue focus points, which you can see in the bottom right of my screen. And when you're maxed out, you can do this. Oh, never mind. He hit me. So see how I lost all my focus points? There are times where if you get hit while you're in the middle of doing attacks, it'll just stop and take away your focus points. That's only if you're actually spending them, though. But yeah, so I can use Immobilize. I can freeze him in place briefly. In the real game, or well, I should say like after the prologue, Immobilize does work a little bit better to where most of the time it'll freeze them in place for like more than just getting hit once. So there's also a parry mechanic, but it only works through using a spell, which is this right here. It's called Rock Solid. You can spec it for tighter parry windows, making it like a high risk, high reward type spell. And you can literally do like talent trees for every single spell. The other spell that I have is called Pluck of Many, which you'll see right after this cutscene. And it is like mirror images, basically. I'll do it right now. It summons a bunch of copies, and they, again, this also has a talent tree like all of the other spells where you can improve your mirror images. You cannot die during this fight, just so you guys know. This fight is all about learning how to fight. You have infinite health, infinite mana, infinite stamina, like none of the resource management combat mechanics except for spell cooldowns apply to this fight.
Immortality.
So I definitely recommend taking your time on this fight because you're going to learn everything that you need to know about the combat in this fight. All right, I want to show you guys this this combo point move here. Now you can do a heavy attack without being all the way at 4 focus points, like you're about to see here. Here it is. That's a full charge combo. But you can actually charge. You can actually charge by just holding down the heavy attack button and charging as many points as you want. The attack that you get is more impressive depending on how far you let it charge. So you don't have to charge it up all the way if you don't want to, and in fact you don't have to charge it up at all if you don't want to either. You can literally just press Y once and it'll give you like half a bar and you'll get something, but it's not nearly as good. Like the most optimal DPS is just basically spamming light attacks and then when you have enough points doing a charged heavy. But this is also only showing you one stance. We are in what's called Smash stance right now, and there are other stances that you can unlock through the process of building out your character. When I did my first playthrough, I actually found that Smash stance is really good. You really don't have to change out of this stance if you don't want to, and it is very, very good. The other stances I didn't mess with too much, but they are more so accommodating like other playstyles. So you have thrust stance, which is slightly more aggressive, and then you have pillar stance, which is a little bit more defensive. How was the game? Do I know the backstory? I do. I know a little bit of the backstory, but I did not read the folklore. Oh, I missed. In the tutorial, the parry mechanic is actually not spec'd for like high risk, high reward. It's kind of showing you like the base version. Yeah, I know that the game is based off of Journey to the West, but I don't know like a lot of the specifics about it. Is it very linear like Dark Souls games? I would say that level design wise, this game is very much like Wukong, where there's like stages. Yeah, I think in general for a lot of people it's going to be hard to understand the story of the game Snorix because Journey to the West is not like super popular. This part of the game, by the way, is like the loudest part of the entire game, so I'm probably getting a little bit drowned out right now, but it's going to get a lot quieter after this scene.
Taste my axe!
Just as a heads up to everybody. It's going to get a lot quieter after this, so I'm not going to like change the audio settings. I noticed it when I did my first playthrough. I was like, wow, this part of the game is literally way louder than everything else.
Rat! You call that a duel? The glare appears.
Does Denuvo copyright application cause performance issues? I mean, I'm sure Denuvo probably has something to do with it, but I think it's also just the fact that it's like a UE5 game. UE5 games are kind of suboptimal right now on PC. There's also just a lot in this game. Like this game, you're kind of following like a main path, and it's really hard to tell where the main path is and like what you can and can't traverse. It's not an open world game by any stretch of the imagination. But like there will be times when you're like running on a flat surface and you think that you can go somewhere and there's just an invisible wall there. But everything that's in the background looks just as good as everything that's right in front of you. So it is a very, very pretty game, and I definitely would say that the performance issues are stemming mostly from that and it being a UE5 game rather than Denuvo. We got blasted, Chief.
And so ends the last tale of Sun Wukong.
Wukong.
A hero who treasured his freedom above all else. Buddhahood.
It's not a video game, it's a fucking movie. Yeah, the cinematography in this game is great. They did a phenomenal job with the cinematography. Does this game have a difficulty setting? It does not. I would say that the game has a very, very wide spectrum of difficulty. The trash mobs that you fight between bosses, for the most part, are super, super easy. And the bosses themselves are on very, very high range of difficulty. There's some bosses that are just straight up bullshit, and then there's other bosses that are piss easy, where like you just literally can't mess it up. And there's everything in between. Everything in between. There's some really cool fights in this game.
This stone has stood
Okay,
for
I'm gonna let this
countless
cutscene play real
days
quick,
on
y'all.
the
I made
mountain.
coffee before I came down here.
Since my youth,
I'm gonna be
and
right back.
felt
Keep
that
asking
his
questions, guys. I'm gonna try to
remains
answer as many of them as I can. Just need my coffee.
unbegotten, undying, such is the nature of a stone monkey. Though his body was broken, his spirit endures. Into 6 relics he turned, and separately they escaped, choosing to stay hidden. Those are the 6 senses of the great sage. Yet no one has ever seen them, not in centuries. I'm old now. Venture through all the lands I cannot. Yet among you there might be one who is destined. One that shall recover all his scattered relics. And upon the return of the relics to Mount Tuaguo, he may yet rise again.
Do I know if PS5 can run it at 60 FPS? I don't actually. I actually don't know. I'm assuming it probably gets pretty close, and I don't know if there's like a cinematic versus performance mode, but I would say there probably is. But I'm not playing on PS5, so I couldn't be able to tell you. What type of coffee do I like to drink the most? I like French vanilla and like light roast coffees. There's a lot of mischief in this game, by the way, chat. We're seeing it happen right now.
Nowhere better than a home.
Yeah, it's divided into chapters. There's 6 chapters in total. The first 2 chapters are comparatively short to the rest of the game.
You see, what bliss my fate.
Chapter 3 is by far the longest chapter, by like a fucking lot. It took me like 3 days to get through chapter 3. Granted, I wasn't playing like 10 hours a day. But chapter 3 is long as hell.
You sneaky rascal! Dare to fool me? I'll make sure you regret it.
All right, so we are officially in chapter 1. So as I mentioned earlier, the prologue is you're playing as Sun Wukong, sort of like in the midst of his downfall, and now we are an unnamed monkey trying to make our way in the world. So first thing you'll notice here, like I said earlier, trash mobs do not have very much health at all. They are pretty much there to just give you XP. That's literally what they're there for. Now, there are things that you'll see as we start getting into the game a little bit more, like in terms of like exploration and things like that. This is just kind of going over what they already covered in the tutorial, but just like kind of reintroducing more of the basic combat mechanics. You'll notice that we don't have as many focus points and stuff as we had in the tutorial. That is because when we play as Wukong in the prologue, he's like basically a like level 100 and some odd equivalent with our stats and with like the best gear in the game. We obviously don't have any of that right now, so we're kind of starting from the bottom. But yeah, you'll notice as you start to get into the exploration, though, that like they're pretty much the purpose of the mobs is just to be sponges for you to get experience. You can get like upgrade items and stuff from them too, and money and all sorts of like other important things that are very, very necessary towards doing your build. So you'll see that a lot as we start to get into it. These here are the bonfire equivalents, your checkpoints. So when you use the dark sign, it takes you back to these. You don't lose your, again, it's not a Souls game inherently, so you don't lose your experience or anything by using it. It's totally free to do it if you just want to go back and buy stuff or whatever. There's no penalty for doing that, so it does cater a little bit more to casual players in that sense.
I'd say.
But yeah, right now we have no spells. We have a very basic stick for a weapon, but the build starts to come together pretty fast. And once we actually start getting some points to play with, I'll show you guys what I learned pretty early on, and I will definitely give you some pointers on what I recommend building out first. Is the combat Souls-like? Yes, it is very, very much Souls-like. But I will say that as a whole, the game is much closer to God of War than it is to Dark Souls.
To rebuild a temple.
There is a lot of hidden shit, though. There is a lot of hidden shit. I would say in the main path, there's like maybe 35 bosses, but there's 81 bosses total.
It's a tough one.
Which I've heard for people that are versed on the Journey to the West mythos, apparently Wukong overcame 81 trials, so it's an Easter egg, I guess, alluding to that. But yeah, there are 81 bosses total. All right, so right now we don't really have a whole lot going on in our shrine, so there's not really much of a point in doing anything. I'll rest just for the sake of getting the red dot away. But the shrine gets better like as you progress throughout the game. You get access to like more services at the shrine. There's no Firelink shrine equivalent. Everything is done just at the checkpoints. Well, okay, I shouldn't say everything. There are certain NPCs that offer like different services. That's definitely a thing. So this is before he was buried? No, this is after. This is we are like a descendant of Wukong's tribe, hunting down his relics. That's like the premise of the game. So you'll notice in the bottom left, obviously we have health, mana, and stamina. Stamina is a bit of a tricky one, I will say, especially early on in the game. It is very, very easy to run out of stamina. And right off the bat, I can pretty much tell you that having mana and stamina, by far the two most important stats in the game, even more so than having health. But having health does matter too. So definitely prioritize all of the above. But yeah, mana and stamina are so important. We do get a flask, but the flask does not inherently restore mana at all. There are like upgrades that we can get that will help us get mana back later, and that's both in part due to like our talent trees as well as like certain upgrades on the gourd. I'm pretty sure, by the way, this monkey that like runs away, we run into him a lot throughout the run. Or throughout the game, I should say. And he usually where he is, he drops these things. This is definitely part of a secret. And I'm pretty sure it's a secret boss that you encounter in the end game, but you have to get all of the things, I'm pretty sure. I actually have not finished this secret thing yet, but you have to find this monkey in all of the chapters, I'm pretty sure. I did not find him in all 6 chapters in my first 2 playthroughs. Yeah, take the time to kill the trash mobs in your first playthrough. That is another suggestion that I have. Like, this game does, even though there's not, you know, like I said, it's not open world or anything like that, this game does reward exploration quite heavily. Can you go back to previous chapters? Yeah, you can. There's only one instance that we have seen so far, which we're pretty sure is a bug. There's only one instance so far where we've moved on to a chapter and like actually genuinely missed out on something. So all I will tell you is just be very thorough in chapter 1 and try to get try to kill pretty much every boss that you see. Speaking of which, here's our first actual boss. That's not part of the, well, okay, this is definitely still a tutorial boss. This is definitely still a tutorial boss. But as you can see, I'm absolutely shitting on him. But obviously it's not like, you know, this is the first boss we fight as like the character we're actually going to be playing for the rest of the game. Game looks amazing. It's so realistic. Yeah, it is a very, very good looking game. It's probably the best looking game out there right now. Or at least pretty darn close. Like, it's definitely up there with like God of War and a lot of the other like really big cinematic RPGs.
It's been a while, but the immobilize spell still works like a charm.
This is much easier than Souls-like games. Yeah, generally speaking, I would say. It's a lot more forgiving in that you don't lose your currency when you die, so. That said, there are definitely a lot of really, really hard bosses in this run, so. Alright, so we are getting our first spell, which is the same spell that we used in the tutorial. It's called Immobilize.
There you go. Should you come across any miscreants,
it does exactly what this,
just point your finger at them.
What this guy is
and release this
doing frozen in place right now. That's going to be glowing gold here in a second.
While giving yourself a breather. Sadly, mine is but a humble trick. Its power will wear off within a few short moments.
What I saw in the tutorial fight, the combat seems much more choreographed and flashier than Souls. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like...
Anyway, Just consider
really
it a piece of
visually appealing things in the combat for sure. It is still very technically intricate though.
The young boys these days know no manners.
All right, so now that we're out of the prologue, I can show you what the spell actually does. So it actually will freeze them in place for like a good bit, and when you build up the talent tree for it, you can actually get even longer stuns. And there's also benefits to like breaking it while it's supposed to still be active. All right, so after you kill this boss, we're getting a tutorial for like how to level up your character and all that stuff. I'm gonna do that here in a minute because there's only a couple of mobs between here and the next checkpoint. And then I'll actually like go into the menus and show you all the tree and stuff. There's literally a talent tree for everything. Like every time you pick up something new, there's some degree of progression. Where's the heal? So you can see how many heals you have in the bottom left corner. So that the gourd looking silhouette thing, that is my flask. And if I drink, you'll see it like swishes and goes down. And we will unlock upgrades as well as customization for that gourd later that will give us like different effects when we drink it. There are status effects in this game too. The green one that you see sort of on the right hand side of the screen, it's about to go away. That's the poison status effect. There are 4 total in the game. There's poison, fire, lightning, and frost. Apparently there's no map. What do I think about that? I do wish that there was a map. I will say that much. You do get a little bit of cash for like rolling through pots, by the way. Not super relevant in the late game, but oh my gosh, this rabbit is gaming right now. Holy shit. Can't kill the rabbit. Feels bad, man. When will you fight the dragon? That dragon that was in the trailer, I believe that's chapter 3. So we're a little ways from that. Okay, these things, chat, are so important. If you see one, sit on it. You get a free skill point every time you sit at one of these. The first time you sit at it. Obviously, you can't just farm it, but there is a there's a lot of them. I want to say there's 20 or so in the whole game. So just for finding them and sitting at them, you get A, amazing view, B, it helps you level up your character. So, in chapter 1, they're all pretty much on the main path. Look at that. We've already got 4 skill points, and I will definitely... You can level the skill points, by the way, at any time. But if you want to reallocate skill points, respecking is completely free. You can do it whenever you're at a shrine. I definitely recommend trying stuff out. There's a lot of stuff to try in this game. A lot. And the spells, there are quite a few, but I would say the thing that probably has the least variety in the game is the spells. But considering that there's a talent tree for every single spell, that adds enough variety in and of itself. So, yeah, so eventually when you unlock more spells, you'll see them here. There's different... So every spell belongs in a category, so it's not a situation where, like, when I unlock 5 different spells, I can put whatever ones that I want, you know, wherever I want. So each slot is designed for a specific type of thing. So the one that I have currently is, like, your... it's sort of like your active spell, I should say. It's the one that you probably use... Not necessarily the most, but it's like a balance spell, sort of. The top one is like kind of sort of more defensive. The right one is your transformation, and then the bottom one is Pluck of Many, which is the mirror images thing that I showed you guys earlier. We do have access to the store now, but we don't have a lot of money. These medicines are something that eventually we will be able to craft, but at the basically throughout the entirety of the first chapter, we're going to have to either buy them or find them. But you can buy ingredients, and you can also farm ingredients at a certain point too, to be able to craft them yourself at a certain point. But you will find like different treasures and stuff that you can sell to the shrine to give you a little bit more. The currency is called will. You just spend will and you buy stuff. There's a ton of different vendors throughout the game, and they all get like an expanded inventory as you progress as well. Or I should say all of them, but a good chunk of them do. There are quite a few bugs, G-Dash, but it is a very playable game, and it's definitely not a situation where the bugs like kill the experience. It's a very, very fun game. But yeah, so we can look into the Spark system now. So we have not obviously unlocked hardly anything yet. As you can see, looking by the upper tabs here, there's still 3 other tabs to unlock, and just like how these 2 pages are completely full, this tab eventually gets more spells that you can choose from, and then the other 3 tabs also just get... There's so much shit. There's so much. I want to say, like, I don't know what the max level is, but there's, like, literally hundreds of slots to put skill points into. So, like, you have a lot of build variety. But what I would recommend is focusing on staff stances first. That is my personal suggestion. The reason being is because if you'll notice, and I'm going to get a cutscene here, so I will have to show you after this cutscene. But as I talked about earlier, we only have 1 skill point right now, and staff stances, when you put a certain amount of points in there, you gain the ability to accrue more points, and the combo finisher that you can use with those focus points is very, very important. Like, you want to spend skill points, or not skill points, well, you do want to spend those, but you want to spend focus points as much as you can, because you get certain benefits as you progress through the game, like your armor gets certain effects, certain talent trees you can spec into. You get benefits from spending focus points. So my opinion personally is to get built into that first, because A, you start hitting harder with your combo finishers, and B, your gear and stuff gets better when you start spending focus points later in the game. So that's my personal recommendation, but obviously you can do whatever the hell you want. This is a mechanic that is very limited in the game. You can transform into a cicada during this part. It's kind of pointless because it drains your stamina while you do it, but they don't, like, it's like a stealth thing where you can like sneak by enemies. Like I said though, I don't think that it's really a good idea to do that in the early game because the levels are kind of important, and there's also a lot of things to explore. So, but if you want to sneak past all of these enemies here, you actually do have enough stamina to basically sneak past this entire area. But I'm not going to do that because I want to show you guys stuff, and also because I need to go back to the shrine. Okay. So, yeah, so going back to... I guess technically we could just do the sparks from the menu, but yeah, so staff stances, I definitely recommend checking those out first. And the ones that are really, really good up front, definitely smash stance, being able to sprint while charging. I like that one a lot. This is already an example of where, like when you get health recovery on like different benefits that you have with your gear and stuff, this improves that. It's an okay one to put skill points into, but one that if you don't want to wait until your skill points are maxed out to start doing combo stuff, you can do what's called a varied combo. And with this point, you actually gain, in addition to that, what's called a resolute strike, where you actually nullify some damage when you do those, and you're also taking damage at the same time. So that one's pretty good. And then I'll dump a point into this so that we can start saving on some stamina, because stamina is, like I said earlier, very, very important in this game. And in the first couple chapters, like you're gonna run out. Also, I'm going to rest again because I need to get my gourd charges back, because there are 2 bosses pretty much back to back right here. This game is very cutscene heavy at the start. As you can tell, we've already been going at it for 30 minutes, and like 80% of the time we've been playing has just been cutscenes. Most bosses do have a cutscene, but you know, as we like get more into the game, like there will be a lot more gameplay and a lot less cutscenes as we get out of the intro and everything. So as you can see, we've already gotten our second skill point by putting enough points into our staff stance. And the goal is that we want to be able to build up 4 focus points as quickly as possible. That's what I think personally is the best way to start the game and be able to get slightly more powerful attacks fairly early on. Because, yeah, you'll notice when we get to these first couple of bosses here, we kind of hit like a wet noodle. But that is much, much better when you get enough focus points and you can do a combo finisher. You'll also be able to, like, not interrupt your combo in between rolling and stuff like that. You'll gain that as a, you'll gain that as a thing, too. Oh, I just got poisoned because I stood in those roots. Unfortunate. Review so far just got here. I think personally it is a, and I'm not just echoing the IGN review just because I worked with IGN during the pre-release, but I would agree with IGN's 8 out of 10. Some reviewers said enemy variety is an issue. Do you think they just mean trash mobs? I don't know which reviewer said that enemy variety was an issue, but I can tell you right now, this game does not have an enemy variety problem. There's over 80 bosses, and there's 90 different enemy types. So they must not have finished the game before they wrote their review, because there are a lot of different enemies. This waterfall, chats, is a secret, but you have to go to chapter 2 first. I'll tell you more about it later. Is there ragdoll physics? No, not really. I think this was the way I went before. Yep. Is Wukong a short game? If you're, I would say, of like mid-tier experience, like you're not, you know, God gamer status, I would say it probably takes 30 to 40 hours depending on how much of the game you do in your first playthrough. But there's a lot of secret shit that you are absolutely not going to find in your first playthrough. Like there's a 0% chance that anybody's going to find everything in their first playthrough. This game, especially as you start to get into like the later parts of the game, they have done a very, very good job of hiding shit. I found about 90% of everything in my first playthrough, but chapter 1 for the most part is like pretty good about, well, except for that waterfall. That waterfall is actually a pretty well hidden secret that if you don't pay much attention to it in this chapter, it's very easy to miss that there's a secret there. But you have to go to chapter 2 and get something before you can come back, and you have to you have to teleport back to this chapter. All right, this is a absolutely massively important boss to kill. He is an optional boss. I do not recommend skipping this boss.
Why don't you lay down your weapon and join
You actually get the ability to shapeshift into him as the reward of killing him, and you do not get another transformation spell for a while. So I highly, highly recommend killing this guy. You able to skip some area bosses? There's a shitload of optional bosses. Like a shitload. here. Nice. That was close. That was a close one. I don't think there was anything over here. What builds your gourd up? You get upgrade materials for it, and you can also find like different gourds. All right, so make sure you don't forget to actually pick up the twin blade, because this is what gives you the transformation. Red Tides. It's actually, funny enough, it's actually one of the best transformations in the whole game. I think there's 5 or 6 total that you can get, and it's, despite the fact that it's an early game one, it is arguably one of the best. I'm gonna have to go back to the shrine. You can't use the twin blade? You can. You can. It's only when you shapeshift, though. Don't forget to ring this bell. This bell is also part of... I don't know that you would consider this bell a secret, because it's like right here, and it's hard to miss. And also, all 3 bells in this level are on the like the main path anyway. But this is kind of supposed to be the like...
You just had to make some
the tutorial secret, or secret tutorial, whatever you want to call it. It kind of is just there to show you that there's more than meets the eye whenever you like kill bosses and stuff. There's a lot of boss rooms that actually have stuff in them. Not necessarily like in the room, but like it's always a good idea to look around the boss room after you kill a boss, because sometimes there's like extra chests and stuff, or like one of them actually has a meditation spot in it. There's quite a few things that you can find in boss rooms if you just take the time to look. Just so you guys can see this. There you go. So yeah, I literally am the boss now. It's super cool. And you can put talent points into that too. So that's another boss, but I definitely need stuff in my gourd before we well, by stuff I mean I just need to refill it before we try to kill him, because he is a fairly tough boss. Will I speedrun after finishing this? I don't know. I'm not sure, to be honest. It's kind of a long game, and I doubt there's gonna be very many skips. All right, I'm gonna run back to the shrine real quick. There is an item that you can use that just takes you back to the nearest shrine, but the loading screens can be a little bit long, depending on your hardware, so in some cases it's faster to just run back. More like a casual than a speed game, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there are some people that'll probably try to speedrun it, and you can skip the cutscenes, which is good. But yeah, so we basically want to unlock this as quickly as possible. So that's why I recommend putting your first 20 points into stances. So like I said, smash stances are really, really good. And honestly, most of these ones over here, even though it's not technically smash stance, these are also really good too. But like I could, if I wanted to. Hold on, am I at the shrine? No, I'm not. Let me actually refund a couple points, because I actually did not play with the stances as much as I wanted to in my first playthrough, so I'm actually gonna try out some other stances. I'm actually gonna give pillar stance a crack. I need focus attack too. Okay. Let's see here. Sweeping Gale looks sick. That looks super cool. So you can just rearrange them. Yeah, and you can, if you go over here, you can actually, like, in, like, the main menu of it, you can just hold Y and get everything back. But, again, you do need to be at a shrine to do that. You can put points in without being at a shrine, but in order to get them back, you have to be at a shrine. But, yeah, so this is the transformations talent screen. So, right now, we only have the one transformation, which gives you a buff whenever you perfect dodge. This transformation is already really freaking good without even putting points in. So I actually, especially because it takes 2 points per level, I actually don't recommend putting points into transformations right away. Immobilize is one of the most commonly used skills that you're going to use throughout the entire game. So my personal suggestion is, like, do whatever staff stance you want to roll with first, and then get into immobilize after that. All right, there is a little bit of a hidden way to kind of cheese this boss. So see these pillars? You can actually stagger him. You can actually stagger him if you lure him into them. This fight is very tough, by the way. I'm probably making it look a lot easier than it actually is. It's actually a really tough fight. It's one of the hardest bosses in Chapter 1, but the reward you get from it is well worth it. Alright, so check this out. Oh no, he broke that one. Let's get him. Shit, he flipped me with that. Did he just break all of them with that? That's bullshit. I think that literally was in, like, the perfect spot. I think that was literally in the perfect spot that he was able to break all of the pillars. But yeah, if you lure him to attack the pillars... No! Dude, that was so close. If you lure him to attack the pillars, you can knock him down. It's a very good way to cheese it. I was on the review/guide team with IGN. Yeah, he does a lot of damage. You'll find out after you kill him, though, that it is definitely worth the time to kill him, though, because just like how I was able to transform into the boss that I killed, there's also a, like, subset version of that called spirits. And when we kill him, we won't be able to do it right away. We're actually going to have to collect his spirit at a shrine. But we will be able to collect his spirit and then actually use one of his abilities, which hits really fucking hard. And again, like the transformation that we just got, it is one of the best spirits in the game. Like, I do not recommend skipping anything in Chapter 1 because the rewards that you get are just so good. He's very easy to knock over despite the fact that he's kind of tanky. Alright, let him do his thing here for a second. Alright, let's see if we can get him to do the pillar. There he goes. Yes. Yeah, that is definitely how I recommend fighting him while you're still learning the mechanics of the game. Very, very cheesy way of doing it. There's like 5 pillars in total throughout this area. I just broke that one all on my own. That's fun. All right, he should die right here, hopefully. There he goes. All right, so this purple soul-looking thing right here, that's his spirit. I can't actually collect that right now, though, because I don't have the upgrade to my gourd yet, but we don't have to wait too terribly long for that, fortunately. So, and the good news is that if you do accidentally miss picking up a spirit, it will show up at the shrine. So don't worry about accidentally killing something and forgetting to get the spirit from it. That purple thing will eventually show up at the shrine. So, well, it won't, the purple thing won't, but it'll give you the option to collect the spirit. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. Can you choose a difficulty? No, unfortunately not. Well, I don't know if I would say unfortunately. The game is like not that hard once you get the combat mechanics down. It's not too difficult. First time watcher, greetings from Taiwan. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in, Hans. Archers are fucking annoying, by the way. You can do this to deflect them. Let me see if I can... There we go. You do that with L2. Oh my god, this is annoying. Pillar stance is really fun because it kind of allows you to play defensively. When you're actually up on the pillar, the only way you can get hit is if somehow they have an attack that is able to reach up that high, which is pretty rare for most enemies in the game.
Shh, keep quiet. You don't want to set off that beast. In the backyard is Blackwind Gwai's ally.
I think this game can run 60 FPS with a 1650 low res. I don't know, honestly. Probably, I'd say you'd maybe get 45 or 50 FPS. I don't know about 60. I mean, I'm barely getting 60 right now with, like, I think I'm on, like, medium/high graphics. Okay. We officially have armor crafting as a thing. Here's what I will tell you about armor. It is kind of a thing where there are options to choose from when it comes to, like, oh, like, you might be able to pick between 2 or 3 different armor sets to upgrade to throughout the chapter. It kind of just depends on how you do your build in terms of what armor's better. Like, obviously, some armor is better than no armor, right? So I could totally craft that armor set if I really wanted to.
Once you pass that gate, there's no turning back.
I will say, though, money is very limited in the early game, so there are a lot better armor sets that we're going to get fairly quickly after this, so I'm actually not going to buy any armor yet because we actually get a mask from this next boss that's up here, and we're going to quickly unlock some additional stuff after... after we get past that boss even, so... This boss is really cool. I like this boss a lot. Hey, Yosef, hope you're doing well, Chief. No, he ran away. Fuck. All right, I can probably get him here in a second. All right, I should get him here. All All right, there's the 4 Bane. You can see the status effect on the right side of his health bar. So he's on fire right now, obviously. This boss is highly susceptible to fire damage. Think the game's worth it for a Souls-like loving player? Well, so, I mean, the game itself, the only thing that resembles Souls-like is the combat. The game is definitely closer to God of War than I would say, like, Elden Ring or Dark Souls or anything like that. That was a really good dodge with the pillar stance there. I like pillar stance a lot. Smash stance is definitely higher throughput for sure. When you have a full combo, Smash stance definitely does more damage. Like I've literally Smash stance bosses for 50% of their health with a fully charged focus combo. Pillar stance doesn't hit that hard, but it is kind of nice that when you do your combo finisher, that you can kind of escape getting hit. It's a lot easier to actually see the damage through. Smash stance is kind of like high risk, high reward, I would say. But thrust stance I think is kind of like that too. I wouldn't say that the game is too much like Neo. Like there are the stances like Neo has, but this game doesn't really put any emphasis on like stance swapping like Neo does. Like one of the big things to the Neo games is like a lot of the builds revolve around stance swapping. Well, I wouldn't say all of them, but there are a lot of builds that require you to stance swap, whereas you don't have to do that at all. You can, and I would say I would recommend that you just pick one stance and then just do your build around that stance, because there's a much, much better use of your points than doing stance swapping in this game. Is there more weapons apart from the staff? So you basically get like different upgrade paths for the staff. Like you won't get a sword or anything like that in the game. You're always going to have a staff, but you're going to be able to like put different like stats and stuff on the staff as you unlock more recipes and stuff. And there are a lot of different upgrade paths for that, by the way. Yeah, we should have gotten a mask from killing this guy, so hold on real quick. We should have it. There it is. We also got this Curio, which gives us extra crit chance. Should be game in there. Let me rest. And we should have some advancement stuff that we can do too. Is there a deflect mechanic? Yes, but it's not like a parry that you can do all the time. It is a spell that has a cooldown, but if you get it and spec it properly, you can do some big damage with it. It's really good. It's more so designed to where you get a parry, it staggers them, and then you can unleash like crazy damage, but it's on a cooldown. So I don't remember exactly what the cooldown is. You don't get that spell until quite a bit later. All right, good. That's our third focus point. It's a letdown. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely more about like dodge rolling and stuff, but I wouldn't say it's worse. It's just different. There is benefits that you get from being really good at dodging, which is definitely the way to go for sure. So like eventually, let me use this guy as an example. So you can dodge like this, which is called a perfect dodge. See how it like left a mirror image of me, or like a shade behind? You can actually build up your character to where when you perfect dodge like that shade will explode and actually deal damage. So it's kind of like a deflect, but it's just different. Like I wouldn't say that it's worse in any capacity. And then when you actually do get the deflect, which is called rock solid, that's where like when you parry, it actually like smashes up against the enemy, and then you actually get a stagger and stuff like that. Okay, this section right here, chat. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be everybody's favorite character. Everybody's favorite character in the entire game. It's not even going to be up for debate. You'll just here we go. There's just no way to explain
Come
it.
closer and fear not. Noble blood doesn't prey on travelers.
He's a
like
fucking
you.
horseman, dude.
You don't look like a Yagwai from these parts. Have you come to earn the Black Wind King's favor?
Total Giga Chad
Hear
too.
me.
Total Giga Chad. He's literally the perfect character for this game.
Hollow shell. He can grant you nothing. Don't waste your time on him.
But I got early access through IGN.
He lies about cheating death and even the treasures.
I am doing the
Followers
walkthrough
are,
for
all of
IGN.
them, deceived. Black Wind
Do I think there's
Kwai
build
is a
variety?
sly one.
1,000,000%
He
yes.
preaches virtue with a heart full of greed. I wouldn't
You can
trust
build
every
your
Black
character
Wind.
thousands of different ways. But I recommend picking a stance first.
I don't know why you are here.
I highly
but you should be
highly
vigilant.
recommend picking a stance
Now,
first.
I'm pressed for time. Fare thee well, then.
Which that is definitely a build thing in and of itself too. Here's our second meditation spot. Can you ride him? No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. He is a total fucking Giga Chad though. You guys are gonna love him throughout the game. You encounter him in pretty much every chapter. Can you hit NPCs? No. So he's a centaur, but in reverse. Yeah, basically. Yeah, the meditation spots are cool. You get some really, really good shots of the general vicinity that you're in. This game perfected trees and water. Yeah, UE5 is really, really good for that stuff. Wish you well. Also, Sasha, hope you're doing well. All right, we have a couple more points we can put in here, too. All right, so again, I'm actually probably going to be reading through this stance because I did not mess too much with pillar stance. So some of these are actually still new to me. I did not read through every single one of these buttons because there's a lot of them if you haven't been able to tell. Oh, that's nice. You can heal while you're on the staff. That's sick. All right, let's see here. So, performing a having attack. Okay, so that's like a varied combo. After a successful hit, performing another heavy attack, executes Churning Gale. Oh, nice. That's super cool. I want to try that. Let's see. Difficulty, I would say it is not on, like, Souls games terms of difficulty. I would say that it's, like, probably on, like, give me mastery type difficulty for, like, God of War, I would say. It's probably somewhere in that range. It was definitely not as hard as Give Me God of War difficulty as Give Me God of War Ragnarok, I would say. It's not quite at that level. Although there are some bosses that are really fucking hard. So the only way to refill heal is going back to the shrine? Yeah, pretty much. There are items that you can get that you can heal with, though. Like, you can get medicines that heal, that exist outside of the gourd, that are, like, craftable, and you can purchase them in the shop and stuff. Is this on console? Yes, but I think it's delayed on Xbox, though, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, though. Was that one level below Give Me God of War? I think so. I think it's one level below. Whatever one level below Give Me God of War is where I would say this game probably is. Like, if you look at the entire game. But there are definitely some really, really, really hard fights in this game. But for the most part, it's not too bad. The first two chapters are... The only boss that I would say is just, like, outright really, really hard in like, the early game is probably the last boss of Chapter 2 and one of the secret bosses in Chapter 2 as well. How many chapters are there? There's 6 total. And they are of highly varying length. You think this game has potential for speedruns? I don't know. There's not really a lot of skips that I foresee. The most of the chapters are very much like you have to run across a very large map. There's like one chapter, maybe two, where I think there could be some big skips. I've already found an out of bounds in the last chapter, and I think that maybe that could be a big skip. But I haven't actually labbed to see if the out of bounds actually takes you somewhere that is like a legitimate skip. So I couldn't tell you up front. I need to rest actually while I'm here. Need to get some health and mana back. Probably find a way to beat the game in 5 minutes. No, you definitely won't be able to beat the game in 5 minutes. I mean, just the prologue is like 10 minutes long. All right, so this is the guy that's going to allow us to collect spirits, which gives us more will from those little green orbs that I've been collecting, and it also gives us an extra mechanic that we can use in combat.
Their wheels float aloft, never to fade.
So these spirits are kind of like mini transformations, and there are a shitload of them. I want to say there's like 50, maybe more. Throughout the whole game, there's a lot, but obviously we're just in chapter 1, so we're only going to find a few in the first chapter. Chapter 3 has a lot, because chapter 3 is like... Chapter 3 is the longest chapter in the game, like I said earlier. It's the longest chapter in the game by a fucking lot. I would say if I had to order them in terms of length, I would say it's probably like... Chapter 1 is definitely the shortest, and then I would say probably like...
Oh. This is better.
Probably like 1, 5, 2,
though humble, may save the lost.
6, 4, 3, probably in that length. All right, cool. So we can absorb spirits now, Big Pog.
There can be no turning back. We are like tumbleweeds, drifting through life with a destiny beyond our grasp. Fair sights fade, but with ink.
Can you shave your face at some point? No, there's no like character appearance customization beyond the armor.
Your heart will guide you further. We shall meet again.
Is there a lot to explore, or is it like more linear, almost impossible to miss a thing? It is very easy to miss shit, but I would also say that to the same effect. The game itself is pretty linear. I will say I much prefer smash stance on these enemies. Would I relate the combat to most? I would say like 1-to-1, probably God of War. But it also is kind of its own thing, and I would say it is still very satisfying for Souls-like players for sure. But it really is kind of unique though. Like it doesn't really put emphasis on like one specific thing because there's just so many different ways you can build up your character. Alright, I'm gonna do this hidden area first. I don't know if I would say it's like full-on hidden, but it is like kind of sort of hidden. You have to like go into this mangrove over here. I want to try to pull this enemy without pulling the boss. I don't know if I can, though. Oh, I can't. Actually, you know, I might be able to pull the boss without pulling the enemy, though. Let's see. Oh, that's perfect. Cool with this. Oh, that was sick. I recommend doing a transform here, by the way. For most fights, you can get away with doing it when you're at, like, no stamina. because the energy that you have in this form is different from what you have when you're like as your like normal character. Like your energy is actually like depleting over time. Damn, that was kind of insane. All right. Oh, I need to make sure I go back to the shrine and get the spirit from the white that I killed earlier. Think I have a chance to play this one? Looks way more difficult. I would say that this game is definitely. I mean, like you beat Elden Ring, so you'll be fine with this game. This game is easier than Elden Ring, I would say. This boss is kind of sort of hidden if you're not looking and like peering over that fence. It's kind of easy to miss this boss. I actually found this boss completely by accident because I jumped over a fence in a completely different spot and it took me into that creek. I'll show you here in a minute because I have to go back to the shrine soon anyway. Yeah, despite the fact that the map itself is kind of linear, though, there are a lot of different ways to get to the same place in some of the maps. Like, this is sort of like the central area of this part of Chapter 1 before the next boss, and you can get into this, like, wide open area here 3 different ways. So, there's not always one answer to getting to where you want to go. This is going to be a little finicky, I think. Oh, God. This is not good. I have anti-miasma powder. I'm going to use that to get rid of my poison. I think that other one gave up. That's good. Let's see if we can track it down. There you are. I like these enemies. It kind of sucks that they take a few seconds to get up off the ground. You can't attack them right away, but they're kind of a cool enemy. Bonk. What are some negative points of the game? I would say, like, if I had to come up with, like, 3 things that I'm, like, that make me a little frustrated about the game, I would say the somewhat unclear distinction between, like, what's in bounds and what's out of bounds can be a little frustrating at times, especially in your first playthrough, because obviously in your first playthrough you just don't know where to go. And it is very much a discouraging feeling when like you want to explore and then you're like on a flat surface and you go run up against something and there's an invisible wall, which I don't think there's too much of that specifically in this chapter, but you notice it a lot in like chapter 2 and beyond. Like you'll just be on like a flat plain surface, and then you'll just go like run in a certain direction, and because it's not like the intended path, it just won't. You'll just be running in place. That's definitely one of the frustrating elements of like the level design that I'm not a big fan of. Which like there's a lot to look at, don't get me wrong, and it is very, very pretty to look at everything in this game, but it is a little frustrating that the exploration is as limited as it is. Combat-wise, the most frustrating thing for me is the fact that if you get hit and like staggered while you're in the middle of casting a spell, you don't get like hyper armor like you do in God of War, where like you'll always get the cast even if, you know, you take a little bit of damage or whatever. You don't poise through it, and what will happen is it won't take away your mana for spending it, but it will take away your cooldown, or like it'll put you on cooldown, so you have to wait until the cooldown's up before you can try casting it again, which that to me is very, very frustrating, but I mean, it is what it is, so. And then if I had to pick a third thing, I would say it's just like overall like game performance. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a UE5 game. UE5 is still like a pretty new engine. And I would, this is really a nitpick because like, this is also a new studio too. Like, this is their first game. So as impressive as this game is for like a brand new studio, it's pretty nitpicky for me to say that there's like some performance issues because A, it's UE5 and B, it's a new studio. Like, but you know, obviously being what it is, like the game is definitely under optimized, unfortunately. So without being on like kind of like mid to high end hardware, you're definitely not going to be able to experience the beauty of this game to the fullest because it is a very, very beautiful game. All right, so here's that retrieve spirits button I was telling you about. So this is that white that we killed earlier. And his spirit is like one of the best in the whole game. It's just literally, you just literally get a head bonk. You get a head bonk that just does a fuckload of damage. I literally hit the last boss of the game for like 20% of its health with one attack from this thing maxed out all the way. It's kind of insane. Kind of insane. And you can level these up too, which I'm going to because it's, like I said, one of the best things in the game. We're going to do that. How important is crafting? Kind of important, but I would say like you definitely don't need to craft like the starter armor because you get way better armor like pretty early on. Can only use it once per fight. No, you build up energy for it. You build up, it's called ki. You build up ki for it over time. I'm not gonna buy any of that stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and rest. Without spoilers, what Souls boss would you compare the hardest boss in this game to? That's a good question. So like this is one thing that I don't like right here. So like that right down there is a traversable area, and it's a little frustrating that we can't just jump over this log to get down there. Like there's a flat surface right below us that seems like it would be easy enough to just scale down, and you can't. That's the part of the level design that's a little frustrating to me. I wish that it was just a little bit more open. Where's that other path? Let's go over here somewhere. This is how I figured out how to where that frog boss was. Funny enough, you can't jump over that log over there, but you can jump over this one. This is how I found the frog boss, because I just followed this river upstream. Anyway, okay, so hardest boss in the game. Who would I compare it to? I would say probably... Gosh. Put me on the spot here. I don't even know. I honestly don't even know. I'm like, hey, look, we can jump off of this one. Huh, funny. Like, yeah, that's the thing that kind of bothers me. I did take a shitload of fall damage, so that was kind of shitty, but I can heal with my focus points here. Don't say an easy boss. No, the hardest boss in the game is very, very hard. I haven't even fought all of the bosses in the game. I did not encounter every single secret boss that there was to encounter. And I'm sure that some of the secret bosses are probably harder. Oh god, I just got wrecked. I would say if I had to pick a Souls boss specifically, and again, I'm not going to spoil anything with this, but I would say specifically Dragon Slayer Ornstein. Not ONS as a fight, specifically Ornstein, like by himself. But also give that boss like 10 times the amount of health and a lot more bullshit. Like, Ornstein is a pretty tough boss. Like, even not including the... Oh, God. Not including the fact that there's freaking 2 of them, but... I would say, like, a Giga Juice version of Ornstein is kind of, like, on par with, like, difficulty. In terms of, like... Difficulty probably doesn't do it justice, but... in terms of, like, overall how like, if you were to take that moveset and just, like, ramp it up like crazy, it's probably something like that. Alright, I'm gonna move on from this area because I've gotten everything that there is to get. And I could definitely... these guys actually give, like, pretty decent XP, these little skeleton warriors, but... we get a lot more XP from, like, going to Chapter 2, so... and we still have a little ways to go in Chapter 1. The spirit from this guy's pretty good too. I actually used this guy's spirit for a while.
Come by your hands. Please pass this message to my master.
How many hours gonna take to do the whole game, including hidden bosses? I mean, if you know where the hidden bosses are, probably like 45 hours, I would say. Casually. Like, I could probably beat the game now in like less than 20 hours, but like if I'm doing like completionist stuff. All right, get ready to witness the bonk, chat. Here we go. Here we go. Bonk. This is nowhere near upgraded to its max potential, by the way. So you're not seeing peak. You're not seeing peak bonk yet.
Such a fitting
It's very important to make the best use of the burn buildup on this transformation, because it kind of takes a while to get back into transform, and if you miss it, it's a very, very large opportunity lost, unfortunately.
boys. Keep him entertained.
I love the range on Pillar Stance, though. Holy shit. It's way, way better than Smash Stance. Nice. Trees and leaves are just epic. I would just stare at it the whole time. Yeah, this... like, I can't say it enough. Like, this game is just so fucking beautiful. Very, very pretty game.
I remember now. The evil monks are betting.
Alright, let's put some more points in. We've got 3 points here. No longer falls to the ground when perching, but instead executes a heavy attack upon stamina depletion. That's cool. That's actually super cool. Hey, Shiny Pockets, how's it going?
Burn the great sage and tongue monk alive. That's these two. I thought they were already
Bell number 2.
by that fire.
It's closer to Souls or more like Neo. It's definitely its own thing, but it kind of has like some Souls-like elements, a lot of God of War-like elements, especially in the cinematography, and like the stances are kind of like Neo, but I would say Neo is probably the least similar.
After the bell rang, it seems as though the resentment in the depths of the mountain has grown. Ah, forget it.
It is very much its own thing.
Overheated,
Like
won't
this
help.
game is very
Your
unique, I would say.
presence has already made a mess in
Just
the
all around, just really fun ARPG.
Why not go ahead and take them out?
Not overly difficult. Like anybody, like this game is definitely like anybody can beat this game. Not like crazy challenging. But there are definitely a fair share of very, very tough bosses. I think the most amount of time that I spent on any boss was like maybe an hour and a half. But most bosses that gave me some friction was like maybe 4 or 5 tries total. I'm new to Souls-like games. Would this be okay? Well, it's definitely not a Souls-like game, so I would say that this probably isn't quite checking the box of like a full-blown Souls-like game. All right, another NPC.
These snake guys are nothing to fear. Snake gall steeped
Probably
in
one
drink
of my
venom
favorite
makes a
bosses
fine tonic to
in the
flush
game is
an
coming up,
appetite.
though. It's a very, very cool boss. He's kind of bullshit. he kind of has a lot of bullshit, but he's a pretty cool boss. He's by far the hardest boss of the chapter, in my opinion. All right, so this guy is the guy that can upgrade your gourd.
Well. I'd stake your one.
This is the guy that can upgrade your gourd, but what you're going to find throughout the game is half the time you don't even need to upgrade your gourd because you just find a gourd that's just giga juiced already. But if you do want to keep the base gourd, this is where you will come to do said upgrades of the gourd. So, but we do unlock something pretty cool here fairly soon. Oh, actually, we unlock it now. And it's the ability to customize your gourd. So you can add affixes to your gourd to further round out your build in addition to your skill points. So when you drink from the gourd, you can get different effects and stuff. And there's all sorts. I think I probably found like 20 some odd soaks throughout the entire game. And so the one that we start with is poison resistance, which is like kind of meh. You also can find different drinks, which also have different effects. And then the gourd itself also has different effects. So, like, you can fully customize this thing to do, like, basically whatever. I'm going to buy this soak, though, because it's actually better than the poison resistance, and it actually carries pretty hard throughout the entirety of the game. So, we're going to do that soak instead. It's a little bit better. But yeah, you can get different gourds, different drinks, and different soaks. So it's like your gourd is like completely customizable, and you can find a lot of really, really cool shit.
It's delightful.
I think I'm gonna rest before I fight this boss. Yeah, the starting gourd is kind of shit. The starting gourd is kind of shit, but again, you can upgrade it and make it not shit. But I'm pretty sure you find a way better gourd before you even get remotely enough upgrade mats to make it good. So I didn't bother to upgrade it really at all when I found a legendary gourd in chapter 2. So I was like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick with this one for a while, and then you just keep finding like more legendary shit. All right, this boss is so sick, chat. This is definitely where the bosses start to get like really, really interesting, is starting with this one.
Hailed bird, what dimmed your shine? Past's grip beyond our grasp. The future we may still clasp. Late is the hour, young one, in which you choose to stain my
Had early
tranquil
access?
abode.
Yeah, I had early access for about 2 weeks as part of the review/guides team with IGN. This dude's face reminds me of Arthas.
Bane and bliss, summoned by demons.
Bonk! Ha. This boss is actually pretty tricky. His moveset is like actually pretty basic once you get it down. But there's definitely a lot of things that can happen. This is also, as you'll find out here in just a second, this is also the first boss that has 2 health bars.
A ripple awakens, not without a snap. Reflect.
This game looks completely different than the review. Well, so there's a reason for that, and it's because the review embargo is like kind of strict on this game. They did not allow reviewers to talk very much about the game at all, which is kind of weird. That's kind of uncommon. It wasn't like a fully strict embargo where like you just couldn't talk about it at all, but yeah, IGN has already confirmed that they're doing a follow-up review because of like the limitations of the review embargo. Bonk. Yeah, they were only allowed to talk about the game up to Chapter 2, which is kind of... Like, this game does not pick up until Chapter 3. But even then, like, Chapter 3 is just, like... Chapter 3 is a lot. It's a very, very dense... It's a very, very dense chapter. I'm so bad at this boss. Bonk. First try, let's go. Just realized this boss is a mermaid. Yeah, basically. This is definitely my favorite boss in Chapter 1, though. Super cool fight.
No ill will, I bear. I'm merely my brother's eyes and ears. I feign my loyalty to guard this path on the bear's order. Your destiny.
Yeah, bonking is very fun and satisfying in this game.
In its grip, we
and I love that we have the perfect weapon for bonking, too.
The Guanyin temple now lies in cinders, yet the elder soul endures.
The chess piece recipe we get from this dude is fucking sick. Hard carries the early game. Hard carries. That's why I didn't craft anything. This chess piece gives you an auto heal. It's kind of crazy.
The 3 bells. Have you seen them all? Do you too?
Hey, Goku, thank you for the 3 months in a row. Appreciate that.
Oh dear.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
3 bells were set in the mountains since the Black Wind Guire's return, yet no one is allowed to go near them. The bells are something to do with the temple's built. His words sound like truth to me, little monkey.
How's the difficulty? It's varied. It is highly varied, I would say. There are some bosses that are very, very hard, and there are some bosses that are not hard at all. That boss that I just killed is the hardest boss in the chapter, though, for sure. Somebody was asking about bosses in the trailer and stuff earlier. I only watched the trailer once, so I couldn't even tell you everything about that. All right, so that was the third bell, which is, like I said, this is kind of like it's a secret, but it's also like a pretty obvious secret. And it kind of is, the purpose of these 3 bells is kind of just to show you that like there's secrets in the game and to pay attention to your surroundings because you never know what you might find. So this is a secret boss, and what you get from this boss, I know I'm saying that like everything I'm finding hard carries, and like I wish that I was kidding, but like most of the best stuff in the game is actually found like pretty early on. Like you will upgrade beyond the armor and stuff that we get from this chapter, but the spirit that we got and the reward from killing this boss, both of those are just like actually S tier rewards. Hey Snorix, thank you for the 11 months. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We also can upgrade our staff if we want to. We did get an upgrade material from killing the mermaid guy. But what I really want is this bad boy right here. You get an auto heal at critical HP. Very, very pog chest piece. Very pog chest piece. And for the sake of getting a slightly better weapon, we can go ahead and upgrade this too. Got a couple of sparks that we can spend. I need focused attack 4, so we're a little ways away from that. Let's do secondary damage. I don't know if I have enough for another spirit upgrade. I don't have a blood yet. That's cool. I'm totally cool with it. This boss is pretty chill because there's actually a healing mechanic built into this fight. I don't think there were items here. I can't remember. What was my rating for the game? I concur with IGN's review and would say 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's very good. Hey, Sasha, thank you for the 500 bits kicking off a hype train. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you guys would like to try to get some extra rewards on Twitch, feel free to contribute to the hype train. If not, no worries. What chapter would you start focusing on buying the armor? So you kind of pick up armor in every chapter. So like case in point, I just picked up some gloves off of this chest, and then obviously you craft some as well. But so there's set bonuses. So like if you see here, if I get the 3 set for the water armor here, I get that bonus with the 3-piece at the bottom. But it's not always worth crafting the entire set because this particular armor also has a unique effect, which is specific to that piece. So like I only get this health recovery thing with the chest piece. I don't get it with the gloves or the legs. So sometimes you want to go for those because then you can still upgrade your armor while getting a unique effect and not have to like intentionally use worse defense rating armor for the purpose of getting a set bonus or whatever. So it really just kind of depends. So like this one also has a unique effect. So I can get 2 unique effects even though I don't have a set bonus. I can combine those together and get some really good stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a situation where like when you get new armor, you definitely want to like read what you're getting because it's kind of huge if you pay attention to what you're getting and try to like min-max your build. Not that you need to min-max at all in this game. It's pretty chill, but this boss is mechanically similar to the one that we fought earlier, but he has a lot more abilities. And there's actually, think of this, if anybody is like a World of Warcraft or like Final Fantasy 14 player, think of this like a mythic difficulty raid boss. It's like the same mechanics, but then also a lot more shit.
I cannot see you.
This is also like a lore central character too, this boss.
You are back? Must be you who took that Kasaya. Now give it back!
He's Madge. Here we go, bonk. I'm gonna bonk him. I'm gonna bonk him with himself, right? We're beating that ass. Alright, phase 2. Alright, so remember how I said that there's a healing mechanic built into this fight? When you kill these, they actually heal you. So the gourd is not super central to this fight because you can just kill these whenever you want to heal. Now this part is like a phase transition where you don't want them to reach him, so you have to kill them before they get close enough to his body. But you can kill these guys at any point in time during the fight, and they will heal you. He's actually in a really good spot because there's no spirit spawning behind him. If he's in the middle of the room, they can spawn in 360 degrees around him. It's actually kind of sick that it's kind of sick that if you get him in the corner like that, you only have to worry about covering the one side. He's about to get completely wrecked. Bye-bye. We totally shit on that boss, holy cow. We shit on him big time. Our build is starting to come together now, so we're going to be doing some pretty good damage. Like I said, we were kind of hitting like a wet noodle at the start of the run, but now that we actually have our skills like allocated optimally, we're going to be gaming. So yeah, this boss is optional, but the reward we get from this is insane. So it's another boss that I recommend. Definitely recommend killing him because the reward carries pretty far and makes the final boss of this chapter piss easy.
Leave it. Just leave it. Stop the fire.
Yeah, we kicked some ass on that fight. Our throughput was just enough that we were able to pretty much stun lock him completely. Pillar stance definitely is a really good stance. I actually kind of think I like pillar stance better than smash stance. I like smash stance a lot. Like I said, the throughput on it is insane, but... Alright, so then we're going to interact with this corpse. And we get the Kasaya. This thing is insane. The fireproof mantle. So these are legendary relics that you find.
The great sage borrowed it from Virapaxa.
And it goes in this slot right here. There are 4 of them throughout the game. So there's not one in every chapter, but there are 4 total. And this one fucking hard carries. Because when you use it, you get immunity to burn damage, which like there's a lot of enemies that do burn damage. And it also just like constantly builds your focus meter up to allow you to do combo finishers a lot faster. And there are some bosses that you can just straight up nullify, not all of their damage, but like most of their heavy hitting shit, and the fire that's like all around the room, you can just completely ignore that for like 30 seconds and just absolutely fucking slay. Very, very good relic. The one that you get in chapter 2 is good specifically for the last boss of that chapter, but aside from that is like pretty shit. And then the other 2 relics are like good in their own right for certain things, but I think this relic and there's another relic that you get later in the game, those 2 are definitely, they outperform the other 2 relics by like a lot. When will the big bear appear? It's coming. They've been building up the bear all chapter. It's coming really soon. Alright, here is the third and final meditation spot of this chapter. We are almost at the end of the chapter. We got 2 bosses left. And then there's a hidden boss, but again, we have to go to chapter 2 and get the artifact before we can come back and kill the secret boss in this chapter. The other secret boss, I should say. Because Elder Jinchi was a secret boss as well, technically. They have lots of big insects in this game as a boss. I don't know if I would say a lot, but there's a few. All right, let's put some more points in. All right, so we need focused attack 4. Let's just keep doing this. And I think I'm going to do charging speed as well. Because stance charging speed is just actually insane. Makes it that much faster to build up combo points when you're just holding down Y for a heavy attack. Bonk. Yeah, fully charged smash attack would probably one-shot this guy. So pillar stance probably does, I would say, maybe a little more than half the damage. Maybe even a little less than half the damage of smash stance, but it is really nice, though, that it takes you away from getting hit. I will say that that is quite nice. Just one-shot both of them with the bonk. Very nice. Do you have to find all this stuff on your own, like the bosses, does the game lead you? So for obviously like the main bosses and quite a few optional bosses, the game kind of puts you right on the path. But there is a lot of secret shit in this game. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. I would say probably 30% roughly of the bosses in this game are like kind of sort of hidden, where you have to go off the beaten path a little bit. All right, I am kind of interested in a 2-set here. But I'm not gonna change over my chess piece, so I think I'm actually gonna pass on that. It is very tempting though, because this armor set is also very good, especially since Immobilize is one of the best spells in the game. Having a 2-set here gives you bonus damage whenever you break their Immobilize while you're like while they're already frozen. So it's kind of tempting to do a 2-set with like, I mean, the legs I've got nothing to lose. I need to see if it's better to do the helmet or the gloves. Probably the gloves, actually, because that unique effect isn't that good. Also, the gloves are cheaper to craft. Pretty sure. Cool. All right, let's rest again. Enjoying the game? Yeah, I really like this game. I'm not sure if I'm going to speedrun it because it's kind of a long run. But it is a very, very fun game. Definitely worth multiple playthroughs.
500 years. I have rebuilt the temple. Now it's grander in scope.
Can't wait to play. Have to work in 4 hours, but off at 3 and then off all day Wednesday. Nice. Very cool.
return to wandering ghosts roaming in Blackwind Mountain.
Very fun ARPG. I definitely
It
recommend.
was I who granted them eternal repose. I have even restored the charred scriptures piece by piece. But oh yes, I always knew. One day you shall return. I was today.
Ah, I missed him. Fuck.
Who are you?
I always forget that he does this cloud dash here.
Still think you're rock solid? That's a familiar trick. Won't burn the temple down. Oh, stay down. You don't know how to down your reach.
You can just run out of the middle of the room and get free damage on him when he comes out here.
And perhaps I will.
Yo, what's up, dude? I don't know what that is.
You have some cheap tricks. Meet me at the summit if you dare!
Alright, we get our next spell, chat. This spell is kind of meh. I would say that this spell is like maybe B tier. Maybe. But it is a really good spell if you want to like not have to like sweat in combat. But the parry spell that you get later is better and it takes the same spell slot.
Could surely help us. Consider today your lucky day.
Cloud Step. Basically, you go invisible and you spawn a decoy that will draw aggro from you while you have a chance to like heal. But if you stay in the cloud form for long enough, you actually get like a stacking buff that gives you crit damage. So like when you do the follow-up hit, it's nice, and you do basically get a free heal whenever you use it, but it doesn't give you anywhere near the damage that you get from using the parry. And it also costs more mana, and mana is like crazy limited. All right, we got our second Curio, which gives us some defense. Big Pog, Big Pog. Some of the Curios are kind of insane too. All right, we're at the climax of chapter 1, chat. We are ascending the mount. Character from the TV series Monkey, gotcha. Yeah, I have no idea. One little detail that I really like about this game that you'll see in chapter 2 is that every chapter, all of the shrines are like themed to that chapter. And they're super cool. Alright, this section is kind of a pain in the ass, I'm not gonna lie. But what they want you to do in this section is they actually want you to use the spell that you pick up off of that boss. Like, the idea is that you're supposed to use Cloud Step to, like, get past all of these fucking archers up here. but I don't like doing that because it is annoying. But yeah, there's a fucking shitload of archers up here. You can kind of lure most of the enemies out and get them away from the archers. Cloud will be the only transportation. Well, it's not really transportation, it's just so here's what it does. So you become invisible, and then you can stealth past enemies, and it lasts until, I think it lasts for like maybe 10 or 15 seconds, or until you either break it or your decoy dies, one or the other. It's just a way to like stealth around, but it obviously has a cooldown, so you can't just like spam it. Oh, that's right. He's a spirit. I forgot about that. You do get iframes during this, by the way, so you don't have to worry about getting sniped by that guy. So yeah, we can cloud form here. Sneak past. And they never saw it coming. I can fuck this guy up with this. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Bonk. Uh-oh. I fell! I killed him, though. It's fine. I actually... So you can't, like, jump up on this platform, but I've been wanting to try to figure out how to kill this guy. I haven't figured out how to do it yet, but I think maybe Pillar Stance would let me do it. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's getting so fucked. Bye-bye. That's the first time I've ever been able to kill him, because I have not been able to jump up here onto that platform. Max stamina, huge. Absolutely huge. Yeah, we got a twofer. The twofer. Is this just a really short game? No, this game is casually 30 to 40 hours long. And there's a lot of replay value with New Game Plus and all the hidden secret shit. I'm hearing a rumor that there's multiple endings as well. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I've beaten it kind of, sort of twice. I wouldn't say I've completed. So I'm considering this my third playthrough because it is technically the third new game that I've started. But I'm in the middle of my second playthrough as well for the IGN walkthrough. So, but yeah, this is a very, very, very fun game. I like it a lot. All right, let's go ahead and put a couple points in real quick. I think we have 2. Yeah. Let's do charge speed. Charge speed is huge. All right, so we officially have the ability to go up to 4 combo points. Now, the way the 4th one, I know there's not a 3rd circle on the bottom right-hand side where the focus points are, but what it is it's like a temporary amount that you build up, and when you cap it, it like depletes if you don't spend it right away. But you get like a massive, massive damage increase with the fourth
once
point.
told me, out of sight, out of mind is a fool's task. Seeing but seeing.
Last boss,
is
chapter
what
1.
wise men do. But didn't he turn mad by what he saw too?
There you go, Snorix. This is a cool fight. I like this fight. Bonk. I will say some of these boss fights have like really long phase transitions. This is one of them. Alright, so check this out. So if I want to break, I can use Cloud Step here and he'll attack that decoy. Very good opportunity to use this relic, which makes me immune to burn for like, I think it's like 30 seconds, and then I also get crit damage when I come out. We can then paralyze him as well. Alright, let me get that fourth combo point for y'all. There it is. Alright, let's see if we can get it. Here we go. Oh! Pillar Stance does not do that fourth combo point justice, though, let me just say. Smash Stance, that thing would probably hit him for like 25% of his health. Ah. Scammed me. Oh no, he hit me. Damn. Alright, let's take a breather for a second here. Alright, let me make sure. Let me see what kind of medicines I have here, because I use my evil repelling stuff. I already have the Tiger Subduing Pellets, max stamina. Okay, I don't really have a whole lot of medicine right now. Nice. That was a good intercept. Bye-bye. Satisat broke the mug I want. Oh no, Kizo, I'm sorry to hear that. I haven't had a merch store up in a while. It was limited edition, man. Sorry to hear that. I hope it was enjoyable while it lasted.
Well, spare your sorry life for today.
All right, GG's on chapter 1.
Fortune is no longer on your side. No one will come to your aid. All I need is to take it elsewhere and rebuild everything anew.
You're still going strong. Hell yeah. All right, there is a lot of cutscenes. I think there's like 7 minutes of cutscenes or something about to happen. So, have I died so far? I think I've died like twice, maybe. I died on the white.
Pardon me, young sage.
Actually, that might have been my
Mercy,
only death. I think I died on the white. That might have been it.
I was just a pawn of the
I might have died to
celestial
something else
court.
too, but I don't
Given
recall.
a choice, who dared to challenge the mighty record?
All right, let me use the bathroom real quick and
His words ring true. No matter how daring he was, he had not the nerve to harm the great sage. There must be someone else pulling all
my freaking
strings.
earbuds coming apart. Yeah, let me use the bathroom real quick and refill my coffee.
And this thing is eerie. I have no idea
Yeah, there's a lot of
how to
cutscenes.
use
There's like the
power.
end of the chapter cutscene, and then there's also like a lore dump that happens too. So we got some time. So enjoy. And again, feel free to keep asking questions, y'all. I'm here all night. So this game is really, really cool, and I think the game deserves a lot of love for sure.
To atone for my actions and be put back on the encaging band. You will never see me out there anymore.
Oh, ignore his nonsense. Go now, little monkey. Go and retrieve the great sage's relic.
白剑情，千般缘，色与空，弹指间，轮回路，有万次劫，求不退，闭上眼，一生功名忙如烟，浮沉落花断不绝。究竟寻常事，有情处不远。口中念，心中言，现世报，却方便。修行路，无名尽，幡动时，莫等闲。一生功名情如烟，最后人我在少年。最是一个破情失眠，看真挚，看见。
Master. It still puzzles me. A monk's lust for gold should be quelled. Why does Elder Jinche still cling to that one Kasaya?
Bereft of that Kasaya, how shall they show the world their ties are cut and their lust is quelled?
Across streams, over hills, and through the black wind your blood has spilled. Wolves howl, snakes wind, flames lick, and the smoke blinds. Stumble on the lesser, lame, crash before their betters, shame.
Right.
With such clumsiness, what destiny do you claim?
Yeah,
As
what up,
the small
Chris?
fish catches
Very
its
pretty
prey,
game.
The bigger
I
lurks
agree.
behind. Who is the bigger fish? I can't see it. As for the prey and the small fish, they are swimming everywhere.
All right, so at the end of, well, at least the first 5 chapters, you get a relic, which is just another way to buff up your character. So we're going to have even more options with which to work on our build. We also get a cache of items as well, which is mostly just like crafting mats. But we can go into this relic menu here, and we can pick one of these 3 things. And again, you can change this later, so don't worry if you pick one that you don't like. I personally think if you're not using what is it, cloud step or whatever, the one is where you go invisible, this top one here is like basically the only option. These 2 are really good for cloud step, but I personally think that Rock Solid is just an all-around better spell, especially if you play aggressively and if you prefer Souls-like combat. So I am gonna grab this one because light attack damage is huge. And we'll go ahead and get that charging speed up to max. And that pretty much, there's a couple other things I want to get still. Specifically, I want to get this, because I think that would be a good one to get. I like Pillar Stance, though. I think it's a good one. And then after that, I think we're going to work on Immobilize. All right, Chapter 2, Pog. Done quicker than the other streamers. Well, yeah, I mean, I also know where I'm going, so that's definitely a big part of it for sure. Knowing where to go is 90% of the battle. Well, knowing where to go and also just knowing the boss mechanics.